It made me make dumb decisions, break down the Maya or the veil of illusion. I knew I had the tools within me. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here and spending time with me. I've said this before, but every time I'm about to film, I take a deep breath into my heart and exhale fully. And I just feel so good every time I film. For the most part, I try to have that intention of just breathing into my heart so I can speak from a place of truth. So today I wanted to talk about being sober and drugs, alcohol, plant medicines, because I get a lot of questions about this, especially as someone who has struggled with trauma and PTSD, with mental health issues ranging from anxiety to suicidal thoughts, and someone who is obviously vegan and aware of their diet. So yeah, I get a lot of questions, and I know people put me in this spiritual bubble and think that like this is a persona that I'm trying to portray, but that's just not the case. I have no I don't know how to describe this. I have no choice but to be who I am, and I've always been such an empathetic person that it just naturally extended into like not wanting to support the suffering or exploitation of others. And so I guess when it comes to like being on social media and having a presence, it's all like, oh, that's who she is, that's her persona or what she's trying to portray. But in reality, I've always been me, you know, like hugging trees and trying to find peace because my upbringing in life was so chaotic. I just wanted to be kind and to find something soft and safe and help to end the suffering of others. Yeah, I know people put me in that bubble, but I know a lot of other spiritual YouTubers and bloggers and influencers. I think that we're all influencers, like we're all influencing the people in our lives. But anyways, I know a lot of spiritual people talk about their experiences with plant medicine, and so I wanted to address that a little later in this video. But I first wanted to start off by saying that I am not sober for a reason following addiction. Like I've never had, I think, a true problem with alcohol or any kind of drugs. So I just wanted to put that out there. I have people that I know who are sober and who are recovering from addiction, and I really fucking respect that and connect to that as well. But I don't want to offend anyone by saying like I'm sober, but in reality I'm mostly sober and I have, you know, a sip of wine to check in and make sure that I still want to be sober, but that's where I'm at. So I don't smoke weed, I don't drink alcohol, I don't take plant medicines. But for me, my sober journey really started when I decided to be honest with myself in my life, and I had this moment where I was in college, I was worrying about student loans or paying for school, worrying about paying my rent, working as much as I could, and feeling extremely depressed and suicidal, and I tried to end my life one night. So a bunch of crazy stuff happened, and the next day I woke up late and forgot that I was supposed to open up the store that I was working at, and I have a veneer on my front tooth. Not anymore, I have a crown now. I don't think I've ever talked about this because I'm kind of insecure about it, but this is a fake tooth, and that morning my veneer fell off and fell down my sink drain, so I just had a little like stub on my front tooth for a while. I basically had to quit my job and everything felt like it was going to shit, and it was a moment where I realized I cannot be in denial about my mental health anymore. Like I literally just tried to end my life, and the next day I'm like worrying about getting to work. Like how does that make sense? And I started being honest in therapy and really decided to be real with myself about how much I was still struggling and how much I was not facing within myself. And I really think that it was from that point that I decided I wanted to be good to myself, and that was before I moved to New York. That was when I was saving up. I lived in LA, like sleeping on the floor, working at Zara, which I'll never do again, to save up to move to New York. I previously realized the effect that alcohol had on me, which was that it made me make dumb decisions, which I think everyone can relate to, and it made me feel this false sense of like security and confidence that when I sobered up I would just get anxious or uncomfortable in the situation that I was in. And so I stopped drinking alcohol then. I stopped smoking weed also a while ago. There was a point in high school where weed started to make me feel really anxious when I was smoking, because as I got older, I just started having this fear about what I was going to do in my future, about paying for college, which obviously didn't end up very well. And as I was forced to think about my future, my anxieties just rose to the surface every time I smoked weed, and it just wasn't a good experience anymore, so I completely stopped. My mom would always tell me that weed was a depressant, and she was always like, "You're depressed because you smoke weed," and I would never listen to her. And I know I was depressed for many reasons that I wasn't willing to look at, but smoking weed definitely did not help that, and I know that there was a correlation between me smoking weed and feeling sad. Like, I can say that with full conviction, because there was a point in high school when I was in freshman year, I think that I would smoke like 3 times a day. Later, I realized, like, when I would smoke once every other day, that I would feel sad all the time, and that weed was distracting me from looking at myself and facing what was going on inside, or even just getting my damn homework done. Yeah, I stopped smoking weed a while ago, and I've dabbled in it a few times throughout the years, and most of those experiences haven't been very positive. My relationship to alcohol is pretty similar. I rarely drink, and if I do, I'm just testing the waters. And I was actually on a little dinner date with a YouTuber named Jen Im, who I've watched for so long, and this was a while ago, but it was the first time in a while that I decided to drink wine, and I drank the wine and immediately felt so hot. My cheeks got so red. I ran upstairs and just vomited, and I came back down and felt so much better, but I was like, whoa, I cannot drink wine. Like, there's something about it. I know I'm like half Japanese, so maybe the Asian in me like can't break down the alcohol, but yeah, I just remember, like, that's when I truly knew I wasn't supposed to be drinking alcohol, because I just felt so sick after drinking wine. And that wasn't the first time that I felt that, like, nausea and the redness in my face come up, but that was the first time that I threw up because of alcohol, just immediately. I feel really stable not drinking or smoking, because it takes me out of the present moment reality, and to me, I feel like it slightly lowers our vibration. I mean, feeling slightly debilitated and disconnected from my body is not a good feeling, or not being able to control what my body's doing. As someone who struggles with disassociation, that just doesn't feel good. It's very ungrounding, and that's the same reason why I don't do really intense breath work. As you guys know, I'm so into breath work. I think the breath is an ancient tool that we all carry within us, that when we bring awareness to, can change the energetic state of our body, and it's helped to end my anxiety, it's helped my depression, it's helped my sadness, and yeah, it's changed my digestion. So the breath is really important to me, and a lot of times I'll go to like different workshops where they'll have really intense breath work, not just Kapalabhati or breath of fire, but Kundalini breath work, which is like so powerful and can make people just shoot out of their body, and it's meant to like awaken your Kundalini. And I know a lot of people who love that and who are comfortable with that, but I guess those feelings of being out of my body are slightly similar to those feelings of having an anxiety or panic attack or disassociating, where I'm just like looking around and like I can't even really recognize anything, or I don't feel like anything's familiar or comfortable, and there's a disconnect. Like, I don't really feel like I'm here, and that's sometimes what I feel like when I have anxiety. Just like things are just crumbling down around me, and it's so not pleasant. So I don't like things that make me feel high in that way unless I feel grounded at the same time. So that's the really long, rambly reason that I don't smoke or drink alcohol, and I don't care at all to dabble in psychedelics. And now I'll get into more plant medicines. So psychedelics and plant medicines are 2 different things. Psychedelics are man-made. Plant medicines, I think they're called psychotropics, but I don't really know the terminology. All I know is that they grow from the earth and they're much more natural, and it's actually derogatory to call plant medicine drugs. Plant medicines have been distributed and taken in indigenous communities for years, for centuries. It's a very sacred ritual that should be full of intention. And I also feel slightly nervous to talk about plant medicine because I've never taken it, but I will say I tried to take shrooms when I was in high school twice, and I didn't feel anything, which I'm really glad about, because I was just taking it in my basement because it was like a cool or fun thing to do, or I wanted to experience something more, and it didn't work. And a lot of times those things just don't work on me. Like, I also tried to take acid when I was just trying to be young, wild, and free in high school, I think in junior year, and it just didn't work. And everyone around me was like rolling or tripping, and I was just so sober. I felt just happy, but took that as a sign. After I decided to be sober, I was like, wow, I guess it's a really good thing and a beautiful thing that I didn't have any reaction. So yeah, I've never actually taken plant medicine, and a lot of people in the spiritual community use it to help them see themselves, to help them break down the Maya or the veil of illusion that we're all walking through. Paramahamsa Yogananda, one of my favorite yogis in history, talked about, well, I guess all yogis kind of talk about Maya, or just this illusion of life. This life is basically like a stage, and we're just watching our lives like a movie. If we can connect to our consciousness and remember that we're just pure conscious energy, we begin to feel that separation is just an illusion. And I kind of think that that's what the plant medicine helps you to feel, and specifically ayahuasca, break down the walls, you know, the walls they have built up around love. I know people who have survived PTSD use it to help them cope with their PTSD, like war veterans, people who are severely depressed or have suicidal thoughts. Ayahuasca is said to help with a lot of those things. They call it the grandmother because the grandmother of ayahuasca cradles you and gives you the medicine that you need, whether that be to see yourself fully or to help you experience the love that's pulsing within you, or just whatever experience you need to go on. Apparently, the grandmother is wise enough to give you exactly what you need to help you heal. If you're sitting with a proper shaman and have beautiful music playing, all of that is usually facilitated and guided. So a lot of people have assumed that I take plant medicines, or that I smoke weed, or that I'm high all the time, at least more so in the past. I think in a lot of my older videos people would say that. I think that you can reach any point in your spiritual journey through meditation, and that you can break down those walls you have built up around love through meditation and yogic practice and going deep within. Anything can be a spiritual experience. Even standing in samastiti or tadasana for 10 minutes, you'll go on a whole spiritual journey. You'll go on a whole journey within your mind and within your body. Standing at the top of your yoga mat with a tucked tailbone and your shoulders rolled back and your palms facing out, like just standing there with intention in every part of your body, feeling your weight just fully grounded down into the earth. I try to practice that actually every day, because in my last yoga teacher training in India, they were like, practice standing in samastiti because this is the basis for all yoga poses. It's really changed my life. Okay, I'm going on such a tangent, but I'm gonna let myself go on it. When I was confirmed in my church, because I was raised very Orthodox Christian, I was getting confirmed, and during church you have to stand for long periods of time, and I would always fidget and shift my weight back and forth from my left foot to my right foot. I would just get tired. Now that I have been practicing samastiti pretty much every single day and learning where to put my weight in my body just directly into my big toe and the heel of my foot and the top pad of my foot, like very specifically and intentionally balancing my weight out, I can stand still for like, I haven't tested how long, but I can fully stand still and not need to fidget for like an hour straight. Like I can be present and stand with peace and joy and equanimity, and I think that's really beautiful and amazing. And I don't know, I think because I'm so sensitive and empathetic, my upbringing and all of my experience in my life has shaped me to be very receptive, and that receptivity, also the pain and the suffering, helped to be a doorway to higher consciousness and to deeper awareness and questioning of this life that has made me feel the oneness and the connection and the love and the totality of this life sober, through spiritual practice, through the breath, through physical sensation, through sharpening my awareness. And it's for that reason that I never really felt called to the medicine, and only recently did I feel that maybe I should sit with the medicine. Maybe I should take a plant medicine to see what it feels like and to see what people are talking about, considering that like I do feel very stable right now. And I've been offered in the past to take shrooms. 2 winters ago, when I was still cutting myself, my friend, who's a medicine woman, offered for me to sit in her circle of taking psilocybin to help me cope with my suicidal thoughts. And my immediate intuition was like, I do not want to take any plant medicine if I don't feel stable. And that's just me. I know people take it to help with their mental illness, but I just I fully wanted to be able to cope with my mental illness from a sober place without needing anything external. And I just wanted to have the tools within me. I knew I had the tools within me to cope with it, and I knew that I just had to rewrite the neural pathways in my mind. I knew that was going to take time, and I wanted to take that time, and I wanted to do that work. I have only recently reached a space after doing work for the past 2 years on myself and committing to spiritual practice. Do I feel stable and like maybe I could introduce a plant medicine into my life? I almost sat with the medicine actually a few weeks ago. It just didn't align. Like, there were so many different signs and things that shifted within the days prior to me taking it. Like, originally I was going to sit with the medicine in upstate New York, and then they changed it and they changed the location to Red Hook, Brooklyn, and I was like, I'm not feeling to drink this sacred plant medicine in this concrete jungle. I want to honor the tradition and the lineage and the fact that it should be taken in nature like it has been for centuries. The shaman who was going to serve it was really beautiful, from Brazil, like from just this indigenous tribe, really knew what he was doing, but I wasn't just going to sit with it because it was there. I wanted it to fully feel aligned. Then the next day I got another offer to sit with the medicine, and I woke up the morning feeling it out, like, am I called to ayahuasca, am I not? And I just wasn't. And I had this expectation leading up to my expected date of sitting with the medicine that it would help to get rid of my suicidal thoughts, that I would sit with this plant medicine and my suicidal thoughts would go away, because I still struggle with suicidal thoughts. I mean, maybe once a week. The difference now from back then is that I don't react to them. I don't cut myself. I try not to binge eat. I try not to say mean things to myself when they happen, but they still happen, and it's still uncomfortable or unsettling to just want to end my life and feel like I don't deserve to be here. You know, leading up to drinking the medicine, I was cleansing, I was just eating very clean, no fried foods, just very plant-based, and I thought, when I sit with the medicine, it's going to heal my problems. I will not have these suicidal thoughts anymore. And I told my partner this, and how I was actually really glad that I didn't sit with the medicine, because it was just a reminder that it's all gonna come from within. Nothing external is going to solve all my problems, you know? And if they did for a month, what would that mean? That when they came back, I would just sit with the medicine again? Like, I know that the real work that happens from taking a plant medicine happens through the integration process, through the lessons that you learned and through the things that you saw in your journey, integrating those into your life and making the changes. That's when the work happens, and that's when the shift happens in your lifetime. It's the most important thing, and I already know that I have work to do and things to integrate. I felt like it was such a blessing that the ayahuasca ceremony was changed to Brooklyn and that I didn't feel called anymore, because it was a reminder to go deeper within, to commit deeper to my yoga and meditation practice. That's kind of my story, I guess, with what happened recently of why I didn't take ayahuasca. I was thinking about taking ayahuasca, and I know this is a very controversial topic, but there are so many videos on plant medicine out there, and if anyone wants to hate on me for promoting this to young people, my audience actually isn't that young at all, and they're very capable of receiving this information and making their own educated decision on whether they want to ingest anything into them. But this is truly just a perspective I wanted to share from someone who has struggled a lot with mental health issues, has struggled a lot with disassociation and not feeling grounded. And for me, I would really appreciate a perspective like this. Definitely make your own educated decision. Only take the medicine if you truly feel called to it, and be ready to integrate the lessons instead of just going there and experiencing it to get high and to trip out. Being just aware of how things make you feel, and not just drugs, alcohol, or plant medicines, but people in your life, food that you're eating, music that you're listening to, social media, just being aware of how everything affects you energetically and emotionally. That's what I've done in my life, and it's helped me heal so much and has guided me in a really beautiful way. Just daily, consistent connection to who I really am and changing my core beliefs is what will help me cope with my mental illness more than anything. I really think that my mental illness made me an ungrounded person for a while, like constantly thinking I should die or having panic attacks. It just made me like not present in this reality, because my mind would go to like the most desolate places and I would just like think these crazy scenarios or be plotting my death all the time. And it took me out of the moment. It took me out of just like the drum, the heartbeat of life that was pulsing with the truth that I am capable and that I am worthy. And so being grounded means like being grounded in my body, being grounded in the truth of this reality, being grounded in my worth, and all of that has made me want to live and be excited about life. Just really commit to the things that make me feel good. I want to keep sharing honestly and vulnerably, and this video is a little bit vulnerable, I feel, for me to be sharing, because I know people have very strong opinions about plant medicine and any kind of drugs or psychedelic conversations, because some people are really for it and they're going to be like, how dare you talk bad about this, or how dare you say it's not helpful or not necessary, I don't know. And then there's other people who are really against it and like shame me for even talking about it. And I don't think there's any point in not talking about things that are a big deal. It's kind of like, we don't want kids to have sex, so let's not talk about it. Like, that doesn't work. People whose parents didn't want them to have sex and just didn't talk about it, when their child did have sex, it would be unprotected or something bad would happen, and they felt like they couldn't go to their parents to help with that situation because their parents never talked about it. And so yeah, I'd rather just talk openly. Then we can open a healthy conversation about it and not feel like fearful or unaware of what they mean or what they could do. That's just my opinion on the whole subject. Honestly, anything that we're like very fearful of or that we want to hide away from or brush under the rug, I think we should look at it more. And I take that in terms of like even my mental health and my sadness. I wanted to run away from it for so long, but when I started looking at it, I was able to work through it and end a lot of the sadness instead of pushing it away. And the same thing with like my body dysmorphia. I used to just turn mirrors around in my apartment and not look at myself and just avoid confrontation with my physical body at all costs. But then when I started like lotionizing myself in the mirror and like making love to myself intentionally and looking at myself and just trying to face that fear that I had within me around my body, it changed the relationship and I was able to start healing it. And so anything that we're trying to run away from or have fear towards, I think should be looked at a little bit and try to release that fear, because that shit don't feel good. Except in terms of the fear that arises that's simply trying to keep you safe. I mean, fear is a biological, evolutionary tool that has helped to keep us safe for thousands of years, right? So it's a beautiful thing. It's something that we should appreciate because it helps keep ourselves safe, but it can also lead us into illusions and put us in a box a lot of the time. You just kind of have to dance the dance in between both of those extremes. But yeah, I believe this has been quite a long video, so thank you if you spent this time with me and it got to the end. If you did, let me know, because that would mean a lot. Yeah, I just have love in my heart and I just want people to be safe, to really be intentional and not put anything in them that doesn't feel good. Maybe experiment with being sober if you do struggle with any mental health issues and see if that makes you feel better. You know, give it a week, give it a month, and see if anything in your life shifts. Like I mentioned several times in this video, it just helps me be more in the present, and from the present I feel like that's where all things grow and blossom. I love that experience. I love the present moment experience and all that it carries, all the light and all the dark. It's where transformation happens. I feel like it's easier for me to tap into spiritual realms and to get high off of the simplest sensations of my breath or of the beauty of the colors around me. Like, it truly just makes me bliss out on the simplest of things while staying grounded. And I think that's what balance is, you know, is like having your feet planted on the earth but also your head in the clouds slightly. I think that is just a really balanced place to be, and that's what I've been trying to cultivate. So that's why I love to be sober, and thank you so much for caring to receive my perspective, and I honor yours even if you don't respect mine. That's fine. We're all allowed to have our own opinions. So yeah, thank you so much. I cherish you, and I'll see you in a video soon. Bye!